I'm illegally parked, I know, part of my French and my Mercedes. But I have no excuse for this flea market shirt I'm wearing. My motley crew is beastie, and we enjoy the staring. I'm unemployed and daring. How dare I be so cool when it's so hot in Alabama? Sometimes we get snow too. And I'm as rare as a white Christmas in Miami, really. The temperature's dropping on South Beach, the ocean's getting chilly. But I'm driving. My people, the party, yeah. Some drinking, get rowdy, party. And I went out with a buddy or two, and it was all. And we got to the bar by the 1:45, and it was all. And we got going, 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 and we got going. Yes, I jumped off the boat, and I'm sinking in my chair, cause my beer bottle does not float. Help me now. Please enjoy the show. I done come up so fast that I'm afraid of heights. I gotta go. Help me down. Or I'll just learn to balance somewhere between commercial dreams and music that is valid. My babies need to eat, so I create a simple sound. The fiasco threw me for a loop. Hey, I dumbed it down, slick. Wicked vibe and driving. I'm driving. My people, the party, yeah. Some drinking, get rowdy, party. And I went out with a buddy or two, and it was all. And we got to the bar by the 1:45, and it was all. And we got going, and we got going, and we got going. And we got going, and we got going, and we got going. Yeah, my people are riding, and trucks and wheels are resized. In such a world I reside, and your luck runs low with your pride. And enough to keep you abide at the club when trouble's around. I got them car keys in hand, I know what the fuck's going down. Some of these people come sick, some pop the trunk for AKs. They wanna do bodily harm, they wanna live for the day. We just came to get stupid, so give me that bottle of Crown. I take my girl to my Caprice and get the fuck out of town. Come on, girl. And I'm driving. My people, the party, yeah. Some drinking, get rowdy, party. And I went out with a buddy or two, and it was all. And we got to the bar by the 1:45, and it was all. And we got going, and we got going, and we got going. And we got going, and we got going, and we got going.
Good afternoon, everybody. Pigskin Pete here. Happy Friday to everybody. I hope everybody had a great week. I hope everybody's ready for some college football starting tonight. We got 3 games tonight at 6 o'clock. That's one of the reasons I'm doing this stream at 5 o'clock is because at 6:05 we got North Carolina and Wake Forest. Tonight, the late night game is, who is it? Washington State and Houston. And I know Boston College plays a game tonight too, and it's slipping my mind who we're playing right now. Lou Patton, thank you for the super chat, sir. Says, go Aggies, beat Louisville. I don't think you'll have a problem doing that, sir. Louisville, although they look better than they did last year, that's not hard to do. Last year they were completely terrible. So we could talk about some of the games tonight. We could talk about some of the games this weekend. We got, what do we got this weekend? There's a lot of cupcake games this weekend, but of course we got Clemson and Syracuse, although I don't think that game's going to be as interesting as people think it's going to be. Of course, we got North Carolina State and West Virginia, Alabama and South Carolina. I heard somebody say today that South Carolina is bringing in some of the former players from 2010 team that beat Alabama and Columbia. Look, you could bring in players from 2010. You can bring them in from 1910. It ain't going to change anything. This game is going to be a lopsided win, I think. But it's like Christmas to me because I don't care who wins. Obviously, either if somehow South Carolina beat Alabama, which ain't going to happen, then that would give me 2 weeks worth of YouTube material to rag on Alabama. And, of course, if South Carolina gets blown out, I can make fun of them like I normally do. Florida State and Virginia, that's another game. Who else is playing this weekend? I don't know. You guys can remind me. But if you want to call in to the show, because this show is driven by the callers, the call-in show number is 864-207-7112. You can see it there on the screen. This show and every show for the rest of the season is sponsored by Bet Now. There's a link in the description of this video. Click that if you want to deposit some money to help a good cause. Play, have some fun with that. Use the promo code Peete, P-E-E-T-E, all caps, and they'll give you a 100% bonus on your deposit. Also, I put a link in there for howardsrock.net and Fanpride.zone. And I'm giving, for the rest of the month of September, I'm giving a free 30-day trial if you sign up for that. So what do you have to lose? It's free for 30 days. So go check it out. I have a brand new video I just posted up there with me and Bobby Durkins from the other day, and that's a great one previewing this week's games. Let me see who is in the chat here, and then I will check the phone lines. Tiger Ravens in the house. Lou Patton, my man. Alan V says, good morning, Pete. Good afternoon to you, sir. Mario Thomas is in the house. Hound Dog. Orange, 1973. Good to see you here, sir. I'm sure if you're here, you're amazing and fantastic, but I already know that you are. Border Bob's in the house. Will Jones says, hey, Pete. Hello, Will. Uncle Lou in the house. Better get Trevor back on that juice, quick, fast, in a hurry. I told you, Uncle Lou, obviously he's already on the juice because he's twice as big as he was last year. So maybe last year he didn't get on that. He needs to get on it now, though. Christian Ballard's in the house. Proud Navy Dad, SWO, good afternoon to you, sir. All right. Thank you all for stopping in on this fine Friday evening. Let me check the phone lines and see if we got any callers. We got a couple of callers here. And I'm going to take them the order they came in. So if I don't pick your call up, just wait a second. I'll get to you next. Good afternoon. You're on with Pete.
Good morning, Pete. Alan V. How are you?
Hey, what's up? My best friend, Alan V. My favorite old friend, I guess I should say.
Hey. That's right, Pete. That's right. Hey, I love this time. This is a great time for you to go live. I'm just letting you know it gets the thumbs up from me. Perfect Good. Time of the day.
Good. I feel like a lot of people are stuck in traffic right now, but go ahead.
It's pretty, absolutely. You're exactly right. Metro Atlanta especially. So you might as well go on the air and get some calls. I'm flabbergasted with the ACC, Pete. You're going to have to educate like you always do.
Okay.
The schedule, sir. The schedule. I'm looking at North Carolina playing Wake Forest. That is not a regularly scheduled game. That's a non-conference game. I thought the ACC was smarter than that. I thought they had 14 teams and copied the model perhaps of the SEC, something like that. But obviously they don't. They play an odd number of games because of the inclusion of Notre Dame. Am I getting this at all correct?
No. As a matter of fact, you're right. You're originally right. So basically, the SEC and the ACC schedule almost identically. This is an outlying year. For whatever reason, I'm sorry, my voice seems to be going out, but for whatever reason, I guess both of those teams had trouble scheduling a non-conference game. And so they scheduled each other since they both had the same problem, and they're just calling it a non-conference game. So it won't count against their conference record, even though we all know it's a conference game. It's silly. It is silly. But no, Notre Dame has nothing to do with it, I don't think.
I just figured because Notre Dame is – what do they have to play, 5 games in your conference? Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
That if you wanted to balance it out, you know, where you have your traditional rivals and that kind of thing, cross section and everything, Notre Dame would throw a monkey wrench in it. They wouldn't be able to participate in the same number of games that all your fellow ACC teams would be participating in. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, but see, for instance, next year Clemson plays Notre Dame, and they played them in 2015, but Clemson will still play their normal amount of ACC games. They just consider Notre Dame to be an out-of-conference game. So that really doesn't have much to do with it. It's just I think it's just sort of an outlying year. This isn't something that happens every year where 2 ACC teams play each other but consider it non-conference. That doesn't happen every year. This is the first year that I can remember that happening in recent years.
Yeah, it's unusual. I just think it's going to keep reoccurring every so many years where 2 teams are going to have to schedule a non-conference game in the ACC in order to play each other.
Well, see,
maybe I'm doing the math wrong, but I don't think you're running it like the other 14 team leagues are doing. I haven't looked that hard into it, but with the addition of Notre Dame, the math is going to extrapolate out where you're going to have to find a game every so many years. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's the thing. So they couldn't find a game, I guess, is what the problem was. Because it didn't have to be – I mean, they could have scheduled, anybody. They could have scheduled somebody from the Big 12 or the Big 10 or whoever, if the SEC, whatever. But I guess just that they had a hard time doing that is what I'm hearing. My point here is I don't think that the Notre Dame semi-ACC schedule plays a part in it.
I just figured since North Carolina and Wake Forest have been playing football since 1888, they probably want to continue playing.
Well,
you know?
Yeah, but they don't play each other every year, though.
Yeah, but it would rotate. Like the SEC rotates. You have your traditional rivals. You're told who your traditional rival is. And then after that, you get a team from the other league that comes in and floats in and out every other year. And then you just have 4 non-conference games. It's a pretty simple system over here. I just think the ACC is more complex. And I just couldn't figure out why North Carolina and Duke was
Yeah, that's what I'm saying though. The way that the ACC and SEC schedules their games they're identical. It's just this is just an outlying year. We do the same thing. So we have the
totally believe it.
We have the non-conference quote unquote rival that they play every year. For Clemson is Georgia Tech, right? And then we play one other team from the Coastal every year, and that rotates at whatever it is every 6 years or something that you meet them, and then they play 4 non-con games. So it's the same thing.
All right. It was just bothering me while I was driving in traffic. Yeah. Let's move on to one other quick topic. Do you think your quarterback from Cartersville, the young man with the long hair, do you think he's cooled off from last year, or is he just leveling out, or is he just getting ready to start heating up again? What's going on with his performance?
I don't know. I think, first of all, I'm not worried about it at all. I don't think the guy forgot how to play football since January. So for anybody that's acting like he's getting worse, believe me, he's not getting worse. I think it has to do with more with what's around him than him himself. And it's like he said.
Yes.
So did he play great the first week? No, he didn't play great. But nobody plays great every single week, right? And last week they just didn't. They didn't need him to be the passer that he normally is. They won in other ways. So and believe me, I think he'll get better. The expectations have been set so high for him that we feel like he's going to go out there and perform every week like he did in the national championship game against Alabama, and that's not an attainable expectation or goal. So
it's not realistic. Absolutely not.
Right.
Your running back, though, Pete, I'm jealous of your running back. That guy comes out every week, plays balls out every week. That guy is something else.
Yeah, we got a couple of them. That Dixon kid, he's a sophomore. He's the real deal too.
Keeping the pipeline flowing. Well, that's all I got, Pete. I just couldn't figure out the schedule, the non-conference, two ACC traditional teams playing each other. But it's an ACC problem. It's not an SEC problem. I'll let you get back to it, sir.
All right, man. I appreciate the call, Alan.
Take care.
All right. All right, so there you have this. Alan V., my favorite friend from the past. Me and Alan V. had a rough start on YouTube together, but he's a good guy. And it looks like whoever the other person that was on hold hung up. I guess they didn't have time to wait. So the phone lines are open for anybody who does want to call. And the phone number is 864-207-7112. Let's see what you guys are talking about here in the chat. And I get what he was saying about the non-conference, this game tonight between North Carolina and Wake Forest. But that's not something that happens every year. I can't remember the last time we had two conference teams playing each other where it wasn't considered a conference game. It's the way that the ACC and the SEC schedule are virtually identical in structure. What's up, Nick S. Says, I'm late getting in. Hello, everybody. Well, better late than never, sir. I won't hold it against you. Unless you want me to. I almost just shut the stream off by accident. That's how I do things around here. All right, so we can talk about, while I'm waiting on a call here, we can talk about some of these games. Now, for some weird reason, Wake Forest is favored in this game tonight. Now, I realize the game's in Wake Forest, but I don't know if these people watch football, don't watch football, because unless there's an injury I don't know about, right? Because North Carolina has played two Power 5 teams. They played South Carolina and they played Miami, and they beat both of them. Wake Forest, they looked really good last week playing against a marginal team, but they struggled week one against a nobody. And so I don't understand the line on this game, really. I know they give 3 points for, in Vegas, on average, they give 3 points for a home team as sort of the home field advantage. But I'm telling you, that means that they believe, or the perception is, that's what they base it on, is perception, is that these teams are equal on a neutral field. And I'm not buying that. So I don't know if you have any change in your piggy bank, or maybe your grandmother gave you some money 18 Christmases ago that you still have left over, but I put that money on North Carolina as an underdog in this game if you have it. That seems like a no-brainer to me. And while we're at it, I know this is a college football YouTube channel, and that's what we talk about on here, but I'm not going to go throughout this entire stream without getting off my chest what I have to say about what happened last night. I don't know if you guys watched that horrible, pitiful, and embarrassing NFL game last night between the Panthers and the Bucks. But I'm going to tell you what. Everyone's coming down on Cam Newton. And believe me, they should. He played terrible. I mean, one of the worst football games I've ever seen him play, whether it was college or NFL. Clearly, the guy is hurt. He was hurt for the entire second half of last season, and they lost every game, and he's hurt now. It's clear that he's hurt. So I don't put this on Cam Newton. I put this on the coaches. If I was the general manager of the Carolina Panthers, or the owner, or anybody with any kind of power whatsoever, I would have fired both Ron Rivera and Norv Turner simultaneously as soon as the clocks hit double zeros last night. Period. I'm done with Ron Rivera. Riverboat Ron is a joke. Carolina played the worst game that they could possibly play and still had a chance to win it at the end. And the play call at the end there was maybe the worst call I've seen in football. And I'm not even trying to overreact or make a joke about it. I'm telling you, that was the worst play I've seen in football. They did a direct snap to Christian McCaffrey, who did a fake pitch and then ran out. He ran 20 yards to try to get a foot. They needed a foot for a first down. Now, the percentages will tell you, whether it's a quarterback sneak or handing the ball off to McCaffrey and let him run up the middle, 8 out of 10 times you're getting that foot, or maybe even a touchdown. And that's not the player's fault. That's the coach's fault. And so I'm done. Listen, the Carolina Panthers are terrible. And the reason they're terrible is not because of the personnel. It's because of the coaches. And they're going to continue to be terrible as long as they have Ron Rivera making decisions for them. That's the end of that story. For anyone who ever comes on here, if you're a Panthers fan and you don't like hearing negative things about the Panthers, this is what I always hear about Clemson. Oh, you're on YouTube. Clemson's great. Yeah, it's easy to be on YouTube, but Clemson's great. I have never been easy on the Panthers, never will. If the Clemson team went out there and looked the way the Panthers did last night, you'd hear me say the same thing about them. End of story. I'm not going to even say what you said. I'm not going to repeat that, Uncle Lou. I mean, the reality is, in all seriousness, Cam Newton, when he's healthy, is a top 10 quarterback in the league. I know people don't agree with me about that, but his stat, he's got 6 NFL records at least. Okay. He's got an MVP. He's got a Super Bowl appearance. That's something that the vast majority of starting quarterbacks in the NFL don't have. But when he's not healthy, he shouldn't be playing. Period. I mean, if the guy can't plant on his foot and make a 20-yard throw, he should not be playing in the NFL. I'd sit him until he's healthy enough to throw the football. That's all there is to it. I feel like my call-in studio is shut down for some reason. Hold on, let me. Anyway. Brody L is in the house. Says, seems like he's always hurt. Well, he is always hurt because you know why? Because he's hurt and they keep playing him. I mean, isn't it common sense if your star player, the most important player on your offense is hurt, that maybe he shouldn't be playing in the game? I mean, I don't know. I don't think you need to go to Georgia Tech or Stanford to figure that out. Cam's dad is a preacher. A lot of their kids end up that way for obvious reasons. I'm not going to go there either. You're entitled to your opinion. I don't care. I don't care if his dad's Satan. There's no excuse for what I saw last night. Border Bob says everyone was fooled. Was everyone as fooled as me when Trevor ran the keeper in for a touchdown last week? No, and I expect that you're going to see a lot more of Trevor running this year than you did last year. And that's always been a staple of the Clemson offense under Tony Elliott when he's calling the plays. They love to run the quarterback a lot. And Trevor is every bit as capable as most quarterbacks. He's not considered a dual threat quarterback because he's the prototypical pocket passing type of guy, but he's got wheels. What's up, Ryan Plies? What is this? Well, it's a YouTube show, sir. It's a YouTube show that you clicked on. So if you somehow clicked on a YouTube show and you don't know what it is, I don't know what to tell you. You do know that you're on YouTube, right? Maybe not. What's up, Southern Buck 352? Damn, that mumble rap YouTube star is in the chat here too also and though. What? Well, this is the Friday Night Beer Drinkers call-in show. And the number is 864-207-7112. These always go one of two ways. Either I have 18 people calling in on 3 lines or I have 0 people calling in on 3 lines. But I'll tell you this. It is a call-in show. If nobody calls in, then I'll end the show. Because I'm not going to sit here and talk to myself all night. Not going to happen. I do have other things I could be doing other than taking calls from you. So, It's a beer drinkers calling show, so I can at least drink beer while I'm waiting on a call. You can call in and tell me anything you want. Call in and tell me how I live in my mom's basement. You can call in and tell me how I'm an idiot for wearing sunglasses inside. You can call in and tell me that Trevor Lawrence sucks and he's overrated and Clemson doesn't play anybody. Whatever. I'm up for any of it. Or where's the guy that was all in my comment section the other day after my Bet Now picks that I did for this contest, telling me that my winning record on Bet Now sucks? Go figure that one out. I thought the whole point when you wager on football was to win bets. If you win more than you lose, that's winning. Did A&M's running back get injured on the last drive of the game last week? So many went down, I couldn't keep up. I don't know if he did. I'll tell you, if he did, that's all on Jimbo Fisher. Because Jimbo Fisher does not care about his players. That's obvious. He obviously has money on the game or knows somebody that has money on the game because it was 24-3 with 10 seconds left, and this joker called a timeout and kept all of his starters in. Kellen Mond's out there limping around like a gimp. He didn't care. He didn't care if Kellen Mond broke both of his legs as long as he covered that spread. That was obvious. So. What about you're an Uncle Lou wannabe? That should bring back memories. I don't know what memories you're talking about, sir, but I'm pretty sure the Uncle Lou probably thinks you're a dickhead too, the same way that I do. Slim Shady Kane's in the house. Good afternoon, ladies and sirs, he says. Good afternoon to you, sir. What is going on with your Canes, bro? Made me look bad. Tell you what, I had the Hurricanes as the shoe-in to win the Coastal, and I'm not sure that's going to happen now. Pete, do you think Clemson and Alabama will cover the spread? Yes. Yeah, I do think they will. I certainly think that Alabama will. They're only 25-point favorite. Clemson's 28. They should cover it, but I don't ever bet on Clemson. Young quarterback and coach, ESPN still predicting 10-2. I don't know about 10-2, man. I will tell you this, though. I do agree that they need to give these people time. The offensive line's young, the quarterback's young, and the coach is young. So I think maybe just because the ACC is so bad right now, we expected that Miami, just based on talent alone, was going to go out there and just road grade everybody, maybe with the exception of Virginia in that division. And that was probably a little bit of a premature prediction. And I fell into that trap too. But I agree with you. They're going to get better as the year goes on. But I know the Canes fans are probably still holding out some sort of hope that they can win the Coastal this year. And mathematically they still can, but they're going to have to get a lot better. Because I'm telling you what, Virginia looks really good. And North Carolina looks good too. So that's two teams you have to get through. And you already lost to one of them. Nice Guy TV with a $1.99 super chat. What is good, Pete? What is good with you? Thank you for the super chat, sir. I appreciate it. You're amazing and fantastic. Okay. The call-in number is 864-207-7112. I'm giving it about 3 more minutes, and I'm shutting the call-in studio down. I'm going to watch the Clemson-Syracuse game in Baltimore tomorrow with a few friends. Awesome. It took me a minute to realize what you just said. I thought you were about to say you're going to the Syracuse game, but you're going to Baltimore, not Syracuse. So that's kind of a long way to travel to watch the Syracuse game. So basically, you're going to be in Baltimore for a different reason, and you're going to be watching the game while you're there. That's what I'm gathering. All right, so now I got 2 calls on the line. I'm going to answer these in the order they came in. Good afternoon, you're on with Pete.
What's going on, Pete?
What's up? Who am I speaking with?
Slim Shady.
Oh, what's up, man?
Oh, another day in paradise. You know how it goes.
I hear you. So I'm glad you called in because it's easy. It's easier to have a conversation over the phone than it is in the chat. So, I mean, do you disagree?
Yes.
Do you disagree with anything I said, or?
No, not really. I mean, to be perfectly honest with you, I'm not surprised. Part of it's just kind of the way the schedule shakes out. If they had started off with their cupcakes, they'd be 2-0, and they'd be able to take care of those problems over those few weeks.
That's a good point.
I mean, they started off against 2 Power 5 teams, which not many teams do. I think more than held their own against Florida.
Yeah.
Sloppy game, grant that. And I don't think anybody expected North Carolina to look as good as they have this year.
Well, nobody did, including me. And you're right, though. Most of these teams have played at least 1 cupcake, and a lot of teams have played 2. And meanwhile, you've played somebody who at least at preseason was ranked in the top 10, and really you outplayed them. Now, listen, I'm not convinced that Florida's a top 10 team, but that doesn't matter. There's still that Miami really kind of handed that game over at the end there. And then
they did. And then anybody that watched North Carolina saw there was significant improvement between the offensive line, the defense, and Miami's, might as well call him true freshman quarterback. That's basically what he is from game 1 to game 2. And I mean, they just kind of let that one slip away too.
Yeah. No, I agree. And that's why I say that I think that I've been watching. There's a lot of Miami YouTubers out there, and Miami fans are really active on social media. And I'm a little bit surprised at the overreaction about Miami. And I've even seen people saying to fire Manny Diaz. And that's the craziest thing I've ever heard. I mean, come on. This guy's
I try to ignore that level of stupid.
Yeah. Well, every fan base has stupid people, believe me.
Well, I mean, they're going so far as to say to bench Jaren, and I mean, there are probably 80 teams in the country that would like a quarterback to play as good as Jaren has so far this year. I mean, the North Carolina game, he was 30 of 39 for 310 yards, no interceptions, and 2 touchdowns.
Right, and I know I spoke with you before the Florida game, and we were, this is before or right when they named Jaren Williams a starter, right around that time, right? And do you remember what I told you? I said, if they're going to pick Jaren Williams to start, then they better, if they lose these first 2 games or first 3 games, they better not, throw him under the bus and start going back and forth between quarterbacks. And you bring up a great point. Let this kid take his lumps. That's how he's learning. He's learning right now. And so, yeah, I think that they need to ride with this kid. And since then, I've actually grown to think that, after seeing him play, yeah, he made a lot of young guy mistakes, right? True, things mistakes that freshmen make or first-time starters make. And he's definitely a better option than the other 2 guys. So just roll with them. And I think they're going to, right? You don't see any chance that they're going to take him out anytime soon, do you?
No, Manny's already said that that's his guy. He's sticking with him.
Good.
The only change they've made is they've added another true freshman, to the offensive line. I just think the route they're going, they're really just headed more for the future, more so than this season. So I think they're going to take a few more lumps Then because I didn't expect them to start, 2 true freshmen on the offensive line, much less 3.
Yeah.
And I think they're just planning more for the future, more so than this year.
Well, that's the route they should take at this point, and that's why I say.
And I mean, like you said, they could still win the Coastal because they're going to get better as the season goes along. And yeah, I'm kind of worried about the Virginia game, like you said, but it's a Friday night game, and I'm a little less worried about it now because I looked it up and we have it at home, and those Friday night games are usually worse for the road team.
Yeah. Mathematically, they can still win the Coastal. It's only 2 games, but I don't know. I wouldn't even make that my goal at this point. I know you don't want to hear that. I know fans don't want to hear that.
I wouldn't either. And I told people to begin with, I said I saw 10-2 at the best. My money was on 9-3.
Yeah. So Virginia's got probably the second best quarterback right now in the ACC, and that and they got a really good defense. So they're I think there's probably about a 90% chance that Virginia's going to win the Coastal. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's really going to come down to probably that Virginia-Miami game. Because just the way the Coastal shakes out, Virginia's going to drop something.
So
North Carolina's going to drop something.
Right. Yeah, well, North Carolina has to play Clemson in the regular season, so that's definitely an L, most likely, right?
Well, I mean, it's not even necessarily against Clemson because that's not going to matter as far as who wins the Coastal.
Well, yeah, it will, because it's still an ACC game.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, it still counts against their ACC record, but yeah, no, I agree. I think that losing the game to North Carolina really hurt your chances of winning the Coastal, though, just because that was a conference game, and then you have Virginia as well. So now, again, who knows what's going to happen, right? I mean, Miami could find their way and go on a win streak and surprise everybody, but at this point, losing week 1 was not a big deal. Didn't matter in the ACC, and they were playing a team that everyone expected to beat them anyway, for the most part. But losing against North Carolina, that was a big blow. That was almost like losing 2 games in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, but like I said, just the way the Coastal tends to shake out every year, I don't think losing 1 game in the Coastals, I mean, for the past, at least 7 years, it really hasn't mattered.
I agree.
I mean, I think you had Pitt come out with it last year.
I agree. I think that everyone's enamored with North Carolina right now because they beat South Carolina and then they beat Miami, and so they're sort of the darlings of the. Everyone's looking for somebody other than Clemson to be a darling in the ACC, right? Because of how bad the ACC is, and so I think people might be overreacting. We overreact to losses, we overreact to wins, but. That's tonight's game with North Carolina against Wake Forest is going to tell us a lot. Now, I know it's just Wake Forest, but it's still going to tell us a lot. If North Carolina goes out there and has a dominant win somehow, and I'm talking about like a 3 to 4 touchdown win over Wake Forest, even though it's just Wake Forest, that lets us know that North Carolina is not a pushover, and that they're they've got as good a chance as anybody to win the Coastal if they take care of their business tonight. So.
Yeah, and a lot of people I don't think took into account when they were predicting North Carolina's season, how many players they had suspended last year and how many players they had out injured last year.
Yeah. Yeah, and
so I think North Carolina is a legitimate enough team. Mac Brown, everybody knows, is a legitimate coach. But as far as the grand scheme of the Coastal, I'm not too worried about it. Like I said, I know Miami's going to get better over the season. I think they're going to be talking about Jarren Williams by the end of the Duke game. I think they're going to be talking about Jarren Williams as one of the upper echelon quarterbacks in the country. Because I mean, you saw a drastic improvement in him just from game 1 to game 2.
What week do you play Duke?
Pardon?
What week is the Duke game? When is that?
The Duke game is their last game of the year.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. Well, then I agree with you. Yeah, yeah. He'll look like a different quarterback from the beginning of the season for sure. If he doesn't, that's a red flag. But yeah, he'll be all right.
I mean, Yeah, I mean, they broke it down, taking away this, that, and another, but just looking at what he's done now, I mean, he's completing 75% of his passes. Any team in the country would be glad to have that, including Miami as of last season.
Here's the thing. Jaron Williams is going to get better. The defense is, they didn't play great last week. They did play pretty good against Florida, though. But they're I say they're still a top 10 defense in the country, at least top 15. Maybe better than that. I don't know. We'll see what happens when they play.
And that's something else that's got to grow. That's something else that's got to grow, because a lot of people, and Uncle Lou was one of them, thought our secondary was going to be elite this year. We lost 3 seniors out of the secondary. So you have 3 new starters on the secondary, and Gerald Willis was an absolute monster on that defensive line that they lost.
Here's the biggest worry.
So I expected them to look a little bad at first.
Here's the biggest worry is the offensive line. And I don't know. I mean, obviously they're young. They might be one of the youngest offensive lines in the country. I know they are in the ACC, and so they'll get better too. But it's tough to throw a first year quarterback out there as well as a bunch of freshman linemen and expect them to protect him. That's a tough sled for Williams.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah. Exactly.
And you saw it in the Florida game. They gave up 10 sacks. Now, granted, I don't count all 10 of those on the offensive line. It happened. And that's one of those freshman mistakes he's going to have to take care of.
Yeah, I agree.
And he pretty much did in the North Carolina game. He threw the ball away 4 times instead of taking the sack, which I was glad to see. And that was my first reaction was, oh, my God, he learned to throw the ball away.
Yeah. Well, so you finally have I'm going to have to get off and take another call, but you finally have a game this week that you should definitely win, right? I mean, we're favored by like 40 points or something if I'm not forgetting. Is that right?
I'm pretty sure the next 3 we're going to be favored by multiple touchdowns. I mean, we got 2 cupcakes in a row. Right. And I hate to say it, but Virginia Tech is just in shambles.
Oh God. Yeah. Listen, if you lose to Virginia Tech, then I'm not going to be so nice about Miami anymore. Yeah, I mean, you should blow them out. Yeah.
Yeah. So, we got 2 cupcakes, a bye, and then Virginia Tech, and then Virginia on the Friday night. So I have a good feeling we'll at the very least go 3-1 in that 4-game stretch.
I would agree. And that's a great time for Williams to get some experience by the time you play Virginia.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, I appreciate the call.
Yes, sir.
All right, have a good one. There you guys.
Right, you too, bud.
There you guys have it. That's Slim Shady Canes. Let me pick these up in the order they came in. I got somebody that's been on the line for 9 minutes. So I'll pick that one up. Good afternoon. You're on with Pete. Hello.
Pete, what's going on, man?
What's up, Ramon? How you feeling, bro?
You got time for another Canes call?
Yeah, man, I always got time for Canes calls. And Canes, they support Pigskin Pete more than just about any other fan base outside of Clemson. So I always got time for you.
Yeah, definitely.
So you heard that last call with Slim Shady, right?
Oh, yeah, I definitely heard him talking. Yeah, for sure. So, I heard the tail end of it. I didn't even know the show was on until I went to go check something in the microwave. Then I noticed I had an alert. So I took my phone with me to the kitchen. But yeah, definitely, man. I agree with a lot of stuff he was saying. I don't know if I misjudged us or misjudged North Carolina. I'm not for to get on the blow it up train. Obviously, the crazy thing is I've been looking on Twitter, and I haven't even been on Twitter since the Florida game. Like, I've been on Twitter, but I haven't tweeted anything football based because this is my first year on Twitter, and I don't know if I'm gonna be able to stomach the idiocy that I've seen just in the 6 months that I've been on Twitter. I don't know if I'm able to tough it out, dog.
Yeah, the best thing to do the best thing to do on Twitter is be on the offense, don't be on defense.
The crazy thing is like these people are so ambivalent, so wishy-washy with the things they say. Like somebody will say something about blowing up everything, and then that same person sent out a tweet 10 hours later, I'm still sticking with my boys. Well, you wasn't sticking with us 10 hours ago, so you never was with us in the first place. So which is it?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, man. I've been seeing a big meltdown within the Miami fan base over the past couple of weeks. I don't know. You hit the nail on the head a minute ago when you said that you didn't know if you overrated Miami or you underrated North Carolina, and I think it's a little bit of both. But clearly North Carolina, after the first 2 weeks, is playing way better than anybody thought they were going to play. So
yeah, I mean they got a quarterback that and Sam Howell that FSU all but had wrapped up until game after game during last season. The Woods just kept falling off of Willie Taggart. FSU had him in the bag. I mean, that was the one guy that was going after all cycle. They had some other guys that they looked at just in case. I mean, obviously, you've seen 2 years in a row, FSU didn't even send a quarterback, and they put all their eggs in one basket with Sam Howell. So, I mean, just to give, shed light on how highly they regarded him. But, like you said, they got the game tonight against Wake Forest. If they come through and have a dominant showing, that'll be very telling. But at the end of the day, they don't have to dominate. I mean, they just have to keep winning. I mean, no matter how bad you want to judge a team and say, oh, wait, they beat them by this much, they're as good, or they only won by this much, so they're not as good. I mean, the key goal is ultimately winning. And, right now, North Carolina just needs to survive and move on. I mean, that's my mindset with things. Yeah,
and that quarterback they got, North Carolina, he's a real deal, man. He's going to be a really good player.
Oh, yeah.
But see,
like I said,
North Carolina they have a more veteran team than Miami's. So young, they're one of the youngest teams in the ACC, especially on the offensive side of the ball. So, I think we sort of just looked at the rest of the ACC, especially that division, and said, "Oh well, Miami's got more talent than all of them. They should win." But now we know better. Now we know that having a young quarterback, a young offensive line, and a first-year head coach, that does matter. I mean, they still got to learn how to win. So.
Oh yeah, and I mean, I'm sure this is nowhere near what many expected to be 0-2. He's a fiery guy. He's one of the guys that comes and expects to win every game. He's very upbeat. So obviously, like I said, I'm not jumping off the cliff. I mean, it's not what I expected, but
right.
I'll make a better judgment of how I feel about this team mid-season. I need to see growth more than anything. I don't two losses in the beginning of the season and whatever record we have isn't going to determine my outlook on his coaching stint and stuff like that. Like you said, we got 2 cupcakes coming up, so this won't be telling it at all. I mean, the only thing that will be telling is if they come out here and have enough passion and be respectful and take the game serious.
Well,
the win's going to happen.
You can also take some pleasure in knowing that Florida is about to drop off the map. I think that Florida, they've been so overhyped and overrated for the whole preseason in these first 2 weeks that they're going to catch 3 or 4 L's, here in the next 6 weeks or so, and then everyone's going to be making fun of Florida. So that'll get some heat off of Miami for a little while.
I mean, they probably got to win this week because touchdown Terry Wilson is out for the season. They said.
I don't know, man. I think that backup quarterback might be better than him. So.
He may be. I really didn't watch any of that game last week, the Kentucky game. So I don't know what the situation is. I don't know what the kid looks like. Was he highly recruited, or have you seen him play at all?
Well, he's definitely a better passer. Now Wilson was a running quarterback, but I was never really that impressed with Wilson. I mean, I'm not trying to dog the kid or nothing, but he's definitely not an elite quarterback. I mean, I don't really understand the whole hype around him in the first place.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's not a great passer. I mean, he's athletic and he's got a big arm, so he's good. He's good for those deep shots. I mean, intermediate, we saw intermediate, he's terrible. I mean,
yeah.
Hell, half of his yardage against Florida passing came on 2 plays last year. So,
but these last couple seasons where where Kentucky's been a decent team, It wasn't at the quarterback position. It was really running the football and playing good defense. So I don't.
Benny Snell, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not so
sure.
sure that that losing Terry Wilson is that big of a hit to Kentucky. So, look, I still think Kentucky's probably going to beat South Carolina for the 6th year in a row, and who knows, man? There's a pretty good chance that they could upset Florida. I mean, Florida's not. I don't think Florida's very good. I know I might be on an island when I say that, and people think I'm trolling. I'm not trolling. I watched Florida play, and they do not look that good to me.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you can't judge anything by the UT Martin game,
Right.
a game that I had tickets to. My pops, I took my pops to the Gator fan. He was in Mexico last week, so he tried to give me the tickets to UT Martin, and I told him to hell with that. I mean, I said, I don't watch Florida as it is when they're not playing Miami. I'm damn sure not going to watch them play UT Martin, but
Right.
But yes, I mean, you have nothing to judge them off last week. But I mean, I know me and you were talking during the offseason about North Carolina, and I kind of said that I like their chances to have an immediate impact, and I know you still aren't. I don't know if you kind of been swayed a little bit by what's transpired, or if you still got a skeptic lens. I mean, they've definitely made strides for sure. That much we can say at least.
Are you talking about my view about Miami?
No, about North Carolina. When I said that, I said they got a chance to have an immediate upswing.
Yeah.
In the.
Yeah, you called it. Listen, I admit when I'm right because I love to brag when I'm right, which is most of the time. But when I'm wrong, I'll admit it, man. I did not see this coming. I really thought that Mac Brown was just brought in there to turn the culture around and then maybe turn it over to somebody else and then become athletic director, which still might be the case. But I did not see – listen, North Carolina last year was one of the worst teams in America. And to see – I know it's
hands down.
Yeah, I know it's only been 2 weeks, but just – I don't care. Forget who they played. Forget who they beat. Forget any of that. If you watch the game, they are 10 times better. Maybe more than 10 times, maybe 20 or 30 times better, just in and all the little things, the execution, the penalties, everything. They just it's
exactly.
It's crazy how much coaching can change a team in one season.
And a lot of the narrative during the off season, with recruiting momentum is that after the first 2-3 games of the season, all those 4-star defensive guys and offensive guys that they got, they're gonna be withering away by the bunches. I mean,
yeah.
Now you have to worry about them getting more guys more than anything because there's so much positivity with the program right now.
Yeah, it is. And if you look at I know it's way too early for this, but the people that follow recruiting know this already. North Carolina is projected to have a top 10 class next year, and I don't remember the last time. That happened.
Exactly.
And that's all Mac. I mean, that's all Mac. Period. I mean, that's all there is to it. So, I think it's good for the ACC. Now, if you're a Miami fan, it's not good for you because that's just one more team that's on the upswing. Virginia. We've seen Virginia come on in the past couple of seasons, and Virginia's been a bottom dweller for many years. And now North Carolina is sort of on looks like they're on an upward trajectory. So that's just more. It's more competition for Miami, but at the same time, I think having good competition in that division or just in the ACC in general is good for everybody, So.
Well, and also, Pete, I mean, that's a shot in the arm you need. If you're Miami and you come in year in, year out with the mentality that your talent is hands down better than division, maybe you need somebody to across the way look from and say, well, damn, these guys stack just the way we're stacked.
Right.
We have to really kick ass instead of stepping in the house and think we can take all the furniture. So
absolutely,
it's the shot in your arm you need sometimes. But as always, brother, love the show. I'm keep listening in and have a good one, man.
All right, man. I appreciate you calling.
All right, take it easy.
All right, there you guys have it. The Canes fans always represent here on the Pigskin Pete YouTube show, and always show love. Tiger Nation coming through with a $5 super chat, and Slim Shady Canes with another $2. Says even at 0-2, Miami still looks better than Florida State, and that is definitely a fact. I don't think anybody's going to argue with that. All right, I got a call that's been holding for a while here. Good afternoon, you're on with Pete.
Hey, Peter DeAndre, how you doing, man?
What's up, man? How you doing?
Man, all that Miami talk, man. I thought you were trading colors, bro.
Come on now. All I do is pick up the phone calls, man.
Yeah, man. Your boys did me wrong last night. Had 300 yards on them.
Oh,
I look
man.
up on the Monday line.
Hey,
They lose, bro.
Here's my best betting advice for the rest of the season. Don't ever bet on Carolina.
Oh, yeah. Man, to be honest with you, I don't put no money on Detroit because even if it's the new coach right now or Caldwell, they never it seems like they shut down when they get big leads. Don't know why. I mean, I remember when they had Dallas beat like 21-0, and they just all of a sudden stopped throwing the ball or doing anything, and they ended up losing the game. They was at Dallas.
Yeah.
I don't. Those two teams is definitely like a stay away from now, and I would never bet on them again.
I tell you what,
Russ Campbell's terrible, bro.
As far as betting, I think the NFL is hard to bet. I'm much better at college football. Now I did bet on Green Bay week 1 against the Bears, and I won that bet because I was like, Aaron Rodgers against Mitch Trubisky, and Green Bay was an underdog. That was an easy win. But most of the time, the NFL is much harder to bet than college is, in my opinion.
Right. I heard y'all all talking about Carolina, and you could ask Martin Rodgers this, and I don't care what anybody say. If you look at Carolina recruit class over the last 4 years, I did hear y'all say, they might be a little bit older team than Miami. Carolina has had good recruiting classes. They just had a lot of injuries. I know that. I live in Carolina, so you hear about Carolina State and Duke.
Yeah.
And Wake Forest is kind of off in the mountain area, once the Salem area, so you don't hear that much about them. But you knew Carolina going to be good because if you look at the recruiting classes, they have been in the top 25 the last 4 years. It just Fedora, for some reason, they just would stay healthy for him. Like I didn't know they had any suspensions, but
here's the thing, though.
The last call.
So here's the thing, though. North Carolina, you're saying they've got good recruiting classes in the top 25. They have not out-recruited either South Carolina or Miami in these past few years, and they're still beating them.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but I'm saying, though, is that they do have talent. I mean, it just took the coach to get out of – if you look back at what we talked about over the summer, I thought Carolina's going to be a hard game for Clemson because Matt Brown, it's not that he's coaching. People haven't figured – I think a lot of people – need to figure this out. Dabo, don't take anything wrong from Dabo, but Vic Venables and Chad Morrissey helped Dabo build Clemson into what they are. I know Chad Morrissey left and went to SMU, but they were helping do it. That's why Dabo outpaid the coordinators more than him for a while.
Yes, that's true.
That's why he asked them to get more money. Look at East Carolina.
Yeah.
My automotive. Ruffin tried to do the same thing and say, hey, pay the coordinators. Don't pay me. Pay the coordinators.
Well,
and that's what killed East Carolina. People say why they're so bad is because the coordinators wasn't getting paid because Lincoln Riley left. And other people left. Now, they couldn't pay what Oklahoma was paying. But that's what Ruffin McNeil was trying to do. Something similar to what Dabo doing because the coordinators spend more time with the players. So the coach is more of a fundraiser. Not saying that the coach doesn't do anything, but most coaches are fundraisers. That's why I think you see people like Pewitt at Tennessee having a lot of trouble. He's a true coordinator. He's not a head coach. I mean, I say he's a bad guy. I'm just saying that he's not a head coach. And maybe that's why he's struggling because he's more of a coordinator. He likes to have his hands all over the defense, and maybe that's why he's struggling like the way he is. But I'm not going to keep you long. I'm sure you're going to watch that Wake Forest Carolina game.
Yes.
But I think Clemson's going to blow Syracuse tomorrow. This game's going to be high scoring. I took the over with 34 in the first half. So I'm going to sit back and relax and enjoy it. Watch a little bit of the Boston College game.
So you didn't.
Hopefully, it'll be a good night.
Did you bet against? Did you take North Carolina? How is North Carolina an underdog in this game?
Wake Forest is good. Everybody keeps saying that. And you see, I don't know how much you watch, but Wake Forest got a very good quarterback. They got a couple receivers that their receivers are just as tall as Clemson's receivers are.
Okay.
And they could jump out this building.
All right. But are they – you're saying Wake Forest is good. All right. But are they better than North Carolina? I don't think so.
Right now, no. We're about to find out.
Well,
I do.
Yeah, we are about to find out. Yeah.
But also, Wake Forest do their program a little bit different than everybody else. They get a bunch of seniors and juniors that have been red-shirted. I remember that year Aaron Curry from Fayetteville, where I'm from. I remember that one year they beat Clemson. I mean, they do that every now and then. They come up with a really great team, and you got to watch them sometimes. And like I said, they got some good talent this year. I mean, we're about to find out, and I hope you enjoy the game, Pete. And I will catch you later this weekend. I'm sure we'll come across each other.
All right, man.
And have a great night, man.
All right, I appreciate it. Thanks, man. There you guys have it. It's Don J. Crawford calling in like usual. I'm going to go ahead and shut the call-in studio down. I'm going to have to end the show in a second. I'll take a couple of questions in the chat, and this game is about to start.
We are sorry, but the show has ended.
And that is the reason
Goodbye.
That I started the stream at 5 o'clock is so it can be done by 6 so I can watch this game. And I see a lot of people in here from the SEC complaining about all this ACC talk, but I don't control the calls. I just answer them. Listen, if you want to talk about SEC, you're an SEC fan or a Big Ten fan, call in and ask me about that. Pretty much that simple. Tiger Raven says, I will laugh if Tennessee loses to Chattanooga tomorrow. Well, I think the whole world will laugh. Although it's getting harder and harder to laugh at Tennessee. It's almost sad at this point. SEC Dogs in the House says, never bet on your team or your most hated rival. I agree. That's a good law to live by. Billy Dawson's in the house. J. Jobs. 6 o'clock Glock. He says it's getting harder and harder to be a Panthers fan between the classless way they lost in that Super Bowl and Cam Newton showing up at press conferences looking like he's about to trick or treat or something. I don't care. Listen, he could wear a tutu to the press conferences. All I care about is them winning football games. I don't care what he wears. I don't care about his hairstyle. I don't care about any of that. North Carolina game is on, Pete. Yeah, what's up, Michael Lynch? How you doing? See that Clemson helmet in the background? No SEC love here, just 44-16 beatdowns. Yeah. Hashtag apologize to Lou. Well, I was about to say, give you another ultimatum, Lou, and tell you I apologize for a certain reason, but that's not going to happen. Because last time I told you, jokingly, donate $30 and I'll apologize, and then you actually did it. So I felt bad after that. So I'm not going to do that anymore. But I don't apologize to anybody, even my own wife. So I'm definitely not apologizing to you. All right. Listen, guys, thanks to everybody that stopped in. Thanks to all the people that called. Thanks for the super chats. Mr. Nice Guy TV, Tiger Nation, and Slim Shady Canes all coming through with super chats. Thanks to all the callers. Thanks to all the commenters. Thanks to Uncle Lou. You're welcome. And that's it. So, by the way, before I forget, tomorrow I will be doing a live stream for, you ready for this? The Alabama and South Carolina game. And that's because it's a 3:30 game, number one. And number two, nothing would make me happier than to be on air to watch the South Carolina Boom Chickens get their neck stuffed in. Pretty much that simple. And there's not a lot of great games on tomorrow, so I had to pick one, and that's it. And Clemson plays at 7:30 or 8, so I can have the stream over and go watch the Clemson game in peace. All right. Thank you all for stopping in. I appreciate it. Have a great night. And I'll see you tomorrow at 3 o'clock, 3:15-ish, somewhere around there. All right? Thanks. Have a good one. Pigskin Pete is checking out.